Welcome to the preview of Whole Lotta Wolves. We're your hosts. I'm Joshua Buckley.
Hi, I'm Paul Lappage.
Hey, so with this being the first podcast, we want to give listeners some background to how this came about, Paul.
Sure things. Well, there's a ton of great podcasts out there already concerning the Wolves. And it was my thinking, are people really going to want or need another one? There's some great stuff back in the UK, the likes of Wolves Fancast, who really kind of set the scene for that real supporter-driven podcast. They've been going for years and have done phenomenal stuff. But kind of fan-driven folks, supporters over there who are going to the games. They're talking about that experience as well. In addition, there's some great stuff from the journalists, kind of local to Wolverhampton, that cover the club, with the Express and Star podcast from the local newspaper. That's Nathan Judah and the club reporter Joe Edwards. They do a ton of great stuff. That's been a great listen for many years. And likewise with Tim Spears moving over to join the Athletic last season, and him doing his own podcast with Jackie Oakley, who's one of the broadcasters back in the UK. Again, a great load of content it's very rich for us here in the States, but oftentimes, it's kind of got that UK feel. Might be talking about kind of kick-off times that are completely alien to us, or changing the TV schedule and travel arrangements. That doesn't really impact on us so much. And then on kind of the official side as well, I think the content that our club produces online for kind of both the domestic and international audience is fantastic. The video coverage that they do, the highlights packages, the music accompaniment, I think it's brilliant. And again, that's extended into the podcast world with the Old Gold Club. So Mikey Burrows, who's the broadcaster for the club for the games, Chris Ulumo, previous player, they will get former past players on, talking about their time at the club, their experience, or if it was an important game. So that's great for me to kind of go back and think about kind of historical times and some of the games that I went to. But again, for fans here in the USA that may never have even been to the Molineux, that may be hard to comprehend a little bit. And even most recently, I've started listening to a podcast again based on past players, past managers, by Jason Guy, called The Wolf Whistle. So again, it's like great to get that insight from that experience of player and history. But again, it's kind of not that type of topics that may be wholly centered here in the country. So I think we talk about a market, and ours is an international one, and it's growing and it's unique. So our market here in the USA is obviously going to be different to England. It's going to be different to Australia, where there's supporters groups there. So we are worldwide. It's kind of global Wolves now. And I think with our market growing and the proliferation of supporters clubs and supporters groups that we're going to talk to and chat about through the course of these podcasts, I really think the demand's there for us. And I think most recently, it was really in the past season that the influence came to me to say that it could be kind of a worthwhile thing to go down. Was one podcast that I tuned into, and they brought me on as a guest to talk about the Wolves, which is the Drunken United podcast. And two great guys, both called Sam, one a big Everton fan, another one, the co-host, big Arsenal fan. They really know their stuff when it comes to the EPL. So they talk about the games, they preview the upcoming games. But again, it's kind of 5-10 minutes on each game. Often sometimes you will get a deep dive into a particular club, but that kind of gave me the influence to say, well, there might be that interest here for just having a Wolves exclusive podcast. And we're here in Houston, and again, just having that kind of support and cooperation locally. Glenn Davis has been a big influence on me and helping our supporter group out, because he's the face of the Houston Dynamo broadcast. He's got his own radio show that talks about soccer, the different games and everything. And he's always been willing to give that channel a game to the EPL and give fans a platform who are here locally. And it's kind of all that kind of coming together and thinking, well, kind of we could be on to a winner here. So I'm hoping kind of with my background, I'm previous season ticket holder, kind of 10 years removed now, but you still kind of get that feeling when it comes to a match day. And I've got friends and family who still go and they travel away just like I used to do. And you still got that connection with it, no doubt. So I'm hoping from my side of things and then from yours kind of locally here, we're going to get that good vibe and get people around the country taking part and coming together. And I think one of the final things just to mention is the title and kind of whole lot of Wolves. And that's, again, it's one nod to the American market, and it's a nod certainly to the guy who could possibly be considered our biggest kind of famous, most recognised fan, in that's Whole Lot of Wolves is a nod to Whole Lot of Love by Led Zeppelin, and Led Zeppelin's fronted by Robert Plant, and I think Robert Plant's still a season ticket holder and actively involved in the club and goes to the game on a regular basis. So whilst we may not be kind of majorly famous over here, I think a lot of people are going to recognise Robert Plant and Led Zeppelin, and there's the whole connection there that we can tap into music-wise. So that's kind of based on kind of my side of things, Josh. So with that in mind, how did your kind of indoctrination into the old gold and black come about?
Well, I'm definitely a newbie, so I have not been through the old painful days that some of you guys have been through. But I actually kind of like a lot of Americans, I wanted to have an EPL team to root for. I was playing FIFA, and this was back when Wolves were in the championship, and I liked their kits. I liked the logo. So I started playing as them, and I decided, I'm going to kind of research a little bit more so I know these players and follow the games a little bit more. And I found that I really enjoyed the team, especially their style of play, really how fun they were. And then they got promoted, which was great. And one of my favorite players on FIFA is Adama. So they got promoted. They signed Adama. I was like, I'm in. I'm definitely in there. And man, it's been a great decision. I didn't want to be a fan of a Big Six. That's easy to do. So picking Wolves has been fun. Got to meet a bunch of you guys over at Houston Wolves. That's been a lot of fun. And also, we have some really appealing players right now. I mean, obviously, Raul Jimenez in North America is one of the biggest names. Everywhere I go with, my Wolves kid or hat, they're always like, hey, Wolves fan, Raul Jimenez. It's a great conversation starter. Knowing that, and a lot of people now are starting to follow Wolves because of the fact that they're exciting and they have Raul Jimenez.
Yeah, I think it's exciting times when you've got the perfect storm of kind of that exciting team, and you've got those flair players, and then you add certain individuals into that have got kind of an international flavour or kind of in Raul's case and in our local market, of huge popularity. And I think sometimes that may be missed back in the UK, just to realise kind of how significant he is over here in North America. Shirt sales can be generated off the back of him as an individual, never mind the team as well. So,
and they took advantage of that this year with those green kits. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was making hay while the sun shines in the marketing department. But yeah, fair play on that standpoint for sure. So that kind of brings us on to just giving you guys a little highlight of kind of overview about what we're going to do with Whole Lot of Wolves as a podcast. And one of the features that we'll be including each week is bringing someone on here in the US that represents one of the different supporter groups that we've got around the country. And I was looking earlier, I think we're up to a count online of 16 supporters clubs in the United States, 2 in Canada, 1 in Mexico City Wolves. So it's really to kind of hopefully get representatives on from these clubs for us to talk to, for them to give us kind of their views, a little match report from watching the previous week, and then again to look ahead to the upcoming game and preview it that way. And at the same time, it will also give those representatives of the local clubs a chance to plug their own groups and tell that our audience when they'll be meeting, where they meet, what part of the country they're in, who to get in contact, and all things like that. Because I think what's beautiful about when supporters groups take off and you get that really good community is that when people travel, for example, they'll make an effort, and if they're in town to watch a particular game, to kind of hunt out their nearby bar where the Wolves are playing and try and watch it along with other fans. So I think that's important to really try and foster that community and help grow the fan base, really.
Yeah, and a good example of that is, we got a chance to be highlighted on NBC during the Crystal Palace game, which was fantastic. And I was talking to one of the guys who runs Colorado Wolves, and I have family in Denver, so I'm up there at least once a year. And I said, hey, if there's a match going on when I'm up there, would you guys mind me swinging on by? And they said, yeah, that would be great. So it's a cool little community, and it's only growing. And I think that's what's cool about Wolves is it's kind of the exciting team right now, especially in this country.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to really capture how many take an active involvement through this podcast, and listeners and people getting involved, and kind of how many are tuning in each week to NBC and rooting for us. And yeah, it's kind of exciting times ahead. So with it being kind of the preview show, and we'll give time in the upcoming episodes to have those representatives speak about their supporters group, I'm going to toot our horn a little bit now and tell the listeners about how Houston Wolves came into existence. So we started out back formally in 2017. It was the December 2017. It was Nuno's first season, and the first match that we got together for was the December game versus Bristol City away, and this was the one where we came from a goal down, equalised, and then it was Ryan Bennett in the last minute, 2-1. Kind of great scenes, stoppage time winner. It was one of those games in the course of that season that really showed you that we were going somewhere. At the time, Bristol City were a contender. They were up there. They were challenging at the time for an automatic promotion spot. So to go to Ashton Gate and come up against the adversity we have with the sending off, I think Danny Bart early doors, and then even Nuno got sent to the stands as well. So to come through that adversity and kick on that way, that really showed us that we were going to do something special that season. And it was me and 6 others. There was 4 other expat Brits, an Irishman and Alex from Austin, who drove all the way over, kind of 2.5 hours away to Houston just to come and watch a Wolves game with us. So I think that goes to show the level of dedication that people will go to kind of watch their teams and have that sense of camaraderie. And I'd imagine we may get a few listeners back in the UK thinking kind of, wow, 2.5 hours, that's like a long distance to go to. That's kind of from going from Wolverhampton to London to catch the game on the TV, but really we think about it here in Houston, and that's just a short drive to Austin. It's relatively easy, and you do it there and back in a day. So yeah, it's just a nod and a thanks to Alex, who stays in good touch with us. But I think from that point forward, we've kind of grown both from finding other Brits who are supporters of the club, who live in Houston, that are expats and moved for work or family or whatever, and also kind of we've grown it through like natives like yourselves, or the homegrown, kind of the American homegrown talent that have chosen kind of Wolves as their EPL team. So I'd probably say when we had the semi-final against Watford, kind of not last season now that's ended, but the season before, the bar the bars at, which is our home, kind of the left hand side that we're in, that was full. I'd say a good 30-40 maybe even 50 people that were packed in there with their jerseys on, all supporting the team. So it really shows you kind of, yeah, there's a hotbed of interest and passionate fans that are here in Houston. And I think what's really good is that now that we've got our regulars that come to the game, I think there's a pretty decent 50-50 split between expats like myself and kind of the homegrown talent like you that have found kind of Wolves as their team. And again, that's testament to kind of the recent success, entertainment value. I know some of the guys definitely have come off the back of having Raul Jimenez play for us and support Wolves based on that now. So,
and I got to say, my favorite game from finding Houston Wolves and going to was past year when we came back from down 2 goals against Man City at home. Boy, when Doc scored that last goal, we were going nuts over there, jumping in a big huddle. That was quite a scene. So,
yeah,
and
yeah.
camaraderie like that is what really makes these supporter groups a lot of fun.
Exactly. Yeah, I think you get a real good, again, you get a good balance of people, and it's good to see it. Emotions and yeah, kind of people come together and hugging and embracing, and it's just what you do if you're in the stands. You know, I was probably going as crazy in that game as I would kind of stood on the South Bank with my friends. So there's it. Yeah, no matter what part of the world you're in, you've all got that. When that ball hits the back of the net, it's the same feeling, it's the same pride, it's the same kind of happiness, and it's great to express it. So if any of you out there, folks who are listening, and you're local to Houston or you pass through for work and to come and see us to catch a game, we meet at Nick's Place. It's an Italian themed sports bar. It's at the west side of downtown, off West Time, which is the main kind of road going through where we meet for the games. And Nick there, he usually opens a little early for us on a weekend match day. So if it's a 9 a.m. kickoff our time, he usually opens a few minutes early so we can get situated for that. And again, very flexible during the week. Often kind of we have those midweek games or cup games. So if they're on and televised, then yeah, we're there, and there's a few of us who will be watching, and we always encourage you to get in touch and come along. We are at www.houstonwolves.com if you want to check us out on our website, and we're also on social media. We're probably active mostly on Twitter, which is at houstonwolves.com. And with that in mind, it's just to briefly mention a little while ago, we're talking about those supporters clubs in the USA, Canada, and Mexico City. Again, if you come into this website for the first time and you want to learn more about those groups in different parts of the country, or indeed set up your own, if you find that you've gone to a bar and there may be kind of 2, 3, 4 of you meeting up regularly, and you find out there's a small collective for a group to form, head over to www.worldwide.wolves.co.uk, and there you find all the joining instructions about going on to find out about what supporters groups are in your local area, or the instructions about setting up one for yourself. And from my experience, we've got a ton of great support from Wolves, what the club pump into the worldwide supporter group, and it's very active. There's a great community of organisers who are always willing to kind of share ideas and help out in terms of setting up and establishing supporters groups, and it's relatively easy. So when you get that collective together, all you need is the numbers, but the support's there to make it formalised for sure. And you've probably already seen but this season's going to be the first that there's a number of different membership categories available now from the club, and one of those is an exclusive one for the international fans. So wherever you are in the world, you can join as an international member, and again have that feeling of belonging to the club, and you get kind of a welcoming gift made to feel kind of part of the pack if you're in a fortunate position when we get through this pandemic and the grounds open up again. I know there's many around the country that like to try and get to at least a game a season, or try and make that effort to go at least once and experience it live in the flesh. Becoming a member that way, it gives you kind of that access to a pool of tickets that you can apply for, and hopefully go and get to see the game, tour the museum, find out really kind of get the behind the scenes from the club and the history and learn about it that way. So check that out as well. That is the information on the membership. Again, that can be found through the Wolves website, tickets.wolves.co.uk, and it's got a whole section there for members. And I think it's 35 British pounds to join the international one, which I don't know, probably $45-ish. So for the season, again, it's not bad to give you that little bit of kind of camaraderie and feeling of belonging to the club that way as well. So another feature that we're going to highlight during each of our episodes is a segment called No Stupid Questions. So this is one where we encourage you, the listener, to get in touch about anything Wolves related. If you're new to the club and you want to ask something, don't hesitate. We're friendly. We won't bite. Ask us, get in touch. If you think it's stupid, don't worry, that this is what we're here for. But if you are too afraid to ask, that there's a form on our website. If you head to wholelotofwolves.com, you can go in there and ask us something anonymously, and we'll do our best to answer. In addition, you can follow us on Twitter and ask at WLWpod. And you can ask your No Stupid Question on there, and also our Whole Lot of Wolves Facebook page as well. We got one through already, Josh, and it's from our friends at Wolves Fancast. And this is one that's, I think, particularly relevant for you, which I'm going to point in your direction. And it is, which of the following USA players would you have loved to have seen play for Wolves, and why? And the three choices they give us are Alexi Lalas, Kobe Jones, and DeMarcus Beasley.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting question. I didn't think Alexi Lawless would be very popular amongst Wolves fans. He's a little too cocky. It probably feeds into the stereotype of Americans. Colby Jones was great, but I actually think DeMarcus Beasley would have been the best fit. I think with how versatile he showed, and I mean, he was also a Houston Dynamo player out here. And I really think he would have become a fan favorite, very similar to somebody like Doc, somebody with, a lot of loyalty who can play several positions. And that was who I would choose for that.
I think the only thing that Alexi Lalas really has going for him is that his hair colour would be a good match for the jersey. So, yeah, right. That's probably where it ends. Yeah, so each week we'll be including that as part of the show. So that's one way we encourage you to get in touch and interact with us here at Whole Lot of Wolves. And if there's anything else, you can certainly send us a message on those social media channels, or directly to our email, which is hello@wholelotofwolves.com. Again, hello@wholelotofwolves.com. We'll read it out, and we'll have you interacting that way as well. So we're very much looking forward, I think, to kind of kicking off this season with a brand new USA Wolves podcast. To give you an advance warning of the first official episode, we're going to be joined by Chris Wood from Ohio Wolves. So he'll be coming on to help us kind of preview the new season, the first game as well. And we're also going to be going into opposition territory as well to learn about a little bit more about Sheffield United from one of their fans here in the country as well, to kind of find out what they're all about when we come up against those guys. So yeah, that's it from us. And yeah, we look forward to launching properly. We look forward to having you all as regular listeners. We want it to be a real good kind of collective and have lots of engagement.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to it. And, as an American that's just newly adopted the club, I think hearing your history stories are really going to be exciting. Like, I didn't even know Led Zeppelin's lead singer was a Wolves fan. So I think we're going to learn a lot of great stuff for our American audience.
Yeah, I think that you bring up a great point there, Josh, and I think we'll definitely weave that little bit of history into it as well, because as you rightly say, we're not some team that's sprung up. We've got a rich and varied history that goes all the way back, and I think that will help by talking to that a little bit. It helps kind of foster that belonging to the club as well.
A whole lot of fun.
A whole lot of fun, a whole lot of Wolves. Good deal. So stay tuned for episode 1. We'll be live wherever you listen to your podcast in the week before the first game. And again, if there's anything else in the meantime, don't hesitate to reach out and get a hold of us. Josh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank you, Paul, for the season to start.
Good deal. Catch you soon, guys. Bye.